Hey everyone, it is your buddy Andrew back on the Conservanerd YouTube channel. This is the channel where we love God, we love our country, and we love all things nerd. And check it out everybody, we made it! The end of 2025 has finally arrived, and you know what? There were a lot of great movies that came out this year. So let's take a few minutes and count down my top 10 favorite movies of 2025. Now remember, this is my personal list, so I'm sure it will look completely different from how your list looks. This is not me saying what movies I think are objectively the best from 2025, and this is also not me telling you what movies you should think are the best from 2025. These are simply the movies that I personally enjoyed the most this year. Be sure to let me know what your favorite movies from 2025 were in the comment section below. So with that being said, let's kick things off with a few honorable mentions. My two honorable mentions this year are going to be Jurassic World Rebirth and Captain America Brave New World. Both of these movies were okay. I think they were both good enough for me to say that I enjoyed going to see them in the movie theater. The Red Hulk stuff in Brave New World was really great, and what few dinosaur scenes we actually got in Rebirth, those were good too. However, neither of these movies particularly did their storytelling very well. They were both sloppy in their executions, and I left each one feeling like there was a lot of wasted potential. Now, I also want to mention a few movies that were re-released this year that I got to see. By far the best one this year, and what probably would have been my number one movie on this list had it actually not come out back in 2002, Spider-Man starring Tobey Maguire. This was the first movie that I ever saw more than once in the theater, and now as an adult, I got another opportunity to see it. Maybe I'll do a retrospective review on it as we get closer to Brand New Day's release, but for right now, man, I just love this movie. I also got the chance to see Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, as well as Jaws' 50th anniversary in IMAX, and Apollo 13's 30th anniversary in IMAX. I won't take too long on these, I'll just say that seeing these movies in the theater as they were meant to be seen was incredible. Each one of these is a definitive Hollywood classic, and it was really a treat to get to see them on the big screen. Alright, with all of the housekeeping out of the way, let's jump into my top 10 movies of 2025, starting with number 10. The Naked Gun starring Liam Neeson. So I was sold on this movie all the way back when I saw the very first trailer. When Liam Neeson reveals himself to be the little girl in the bank robbery scene, I immediately was like, okay, Paramount, just take my money already. I never realized how much I needed Liam Neeson in more comedic roles. His ability to be so serious and yet so hilarious at the same time is astonishing. By the way, best joke in the movie, hands down, is the bartender joke. I laughed my butt off. Number 9, The Running Man, starring Glen Powell. Now, this was not Edgar Wright's best film. I still think that honor belongs to Baby Driver. But nonetheless, I had a lot of fun with Running Man. Glen Powell was excellent in it, and I can totally see him becoming a more regular action star that we see popping up every so often, possibly even in a Marvel or a DC property. I'd personally really like to see him as maybe a Green Arrow or a new Aquaman. For whatever reason, I guess the movie just didn't resonate with a lot of people because it tanked at the box office. The first 2/3 of the movie are actually quite good and they keep up a really good pace, but the ending just left a lot to be desired for me. And for that reason, it's at my number 9 spot. Number 8, Zootopia 2. I really loved the first Zootopia movie. I think the characters of Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde are a great duo, and really I think that's the bread and butter of this franchise. The characters. They elevate what would otherwise be a basic animated talking animal kids film into something a lot more special. I will say that Zootopia 2 is not quite as good as the first one, however, it is still a very enjoyable watch. And I think all of the moms in my screening described the movie best by saying, "Aww, that was a cute movie." Yeah, that really is the best description of Zootopia that I can think of. Number 7, Sinners. Okay, now we're jumping all the way to the other side of the spectrum away from the kids' animation. Now, admittedly, I am not the target audience for a movie like this. I do not normally enjoy going to see movies like Sinners. Aside from war movies like Saving Private Ryan or Hacksaw Ridge, bloody, gory movies just really aren't my cup of tea. However, Sinners won me over because it told a compelling story with really interesting characters. The sheer quality of the movie allowed me, as somebody who doesn't enjoy the vampire genre in general, to walk out surprised at how much I liked it. And wonder of wonders, it ended up in my number 7 spot of the year. Number 6, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Do not let the title fool you. This will not be the last Mission Impossible movie they make, I guarantee it. Once again, Tom Cruise proves that he is either incredibly fearless or ridiculously insane. The man literally strapped himself onto the outside of a biplane while it was flying. And according to a quick Google search, the plane reached heights of 8,000 feet and speeds of up to 140 miles per hour. Absolutely insane. Anyway, aside from several scenes where Ethan Hunt is clearly accomplishing superhuman feats, I'm looking at you, submarine scene. This franchise never ceases to impress me with its high energy and its incredible stunt work. I don't care how many of these movies they make, I will continue to go see them. Number 5, Predator: Badlands. This film was a bit of a departure from the rest of the series. It's the only solo Predator film that's rated PG-13, and it's the only one that depicts the Predator as the hero. Guys, I did not expect to like this movie as much as I did. It is an excellent sci-fi adventure film with great performances, great music, and a surprisingly emotional story. There's even a twist about halfway through the movie that I did not see coming, and it has one of probably the best ending moments that I think I've ever seen. If you missed it in the theater, definitely check it out on streaming at home because I think it's worth a watch. Number 4, Avatar: Fire and Ash. Now, my full review for this movie is already up on my channel, so if you want my more in-depth thoughts on the film, just go check that out right after you finish watching this video. I'll leave a link to that review in the description below. In short, James Cameron really is one of the great Hollywood filmmakers. Very few directors know how to put on a spectacle quite like he does. He proves with Fire and Ash that you don't necessarily have to tell the most original story in the world for us as the audience to love returning to the world of Pandora. It goes without saying that the visual effects in these movies are the best in the business right now, and I am already clamoring for an Avatar Part 4. Bring on the Ice Na'vi, or whatever element is next on the Pandorian periodic table. Number 3, Superman. Written and directed by James Gunn, of whom I am not the biggest fan in the world. Don't get me wrong, I love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 3, not so much Volume 2. But in the lead up to the release of the movie, I was a little bit worried about how James Gunn's style would or would not fit with the character of Superman. Now, ultimately, I ended up walking out of the movie thoroughly enjoying myself. Is the movie perfect? No, it is not. In fact, that whole section of the movie that takes place in that alternate dimension / pocket universe area just doesn't quite work for me at all. And as I feared, that is the section of the movie that feels the most James Gunnian to me. However, what the movie gets right, in my opinion, is the character of Superman. Through the whole movie, he is a beacon of hope, and all he cares about is doing the right thing no matter the cost. There is a point in this movie where Superman takes the time to save a squirrel from being crushed. I mean, come on, you can't get more Superman than that. Also, while I'm on the topic of Superman, I also love Man of Steel, and most of the Zack Snyder DC Universe movies. So yes, it is okay to be a fan of both. Number 2, Thunderbolts! Now, if you had told me when they announced this movie that it would end up being my number 2 movie of the year, I would have probably rolled my eyes at you. I have no idea how Marvel did it, but they managed to take a bunch of what could be considered inferior Marvel characters and put them in a movie together. And it ended up being one of the most emotional and down-to-earth stories that the MCU has ever told. Put aside for just a second how cool Bucky is, and how awesome Yelena is, and how funny Red Guardian is. And let's just talk for a second about the message of self-worth, or the message of mental health, or the message of overcoming past sins. Marvel really outdid themselves with this one, and it has very quickly become one of my favorite movies in the entire MCU. Number 1. This was, hands down, the most fun I had in a movie theater all year. If Thunderbolts was the return of top-tier emotional storytelling for Marvel, then Fantastic Four: First Steps was the return of top-tier fun and excitement. I had a smile on my face almost the entire time I was watching the movie. I love all of the characters. Reed, Sue, Johnny, Ben, all of them I think are perfect. I loved the futuristic 60s vibe of the world that they lived in. I loved the pro-life elements revolving around the birth of Franklin and protecting him from Galactus. Speaking of Galactus, I loved Galactus. He was so menacing, and the way Ralph Ineson played him with that deep, rumbly voice just made for the perfect interpretation of the character that I have been hoping for since they announced him as the villain of the film. The Fantastic Four: First Steps took me back to the early days of the MCU and genuinely made me feel like Marvel was firing on all cylinders again. Oh, and I don't want to forget to mention the music in this movie. This is now one of my most favorite musical scores in the entire MCU, if not my absolute favorite. I truly can't say enough good things about this movie. I could sit here all day talking about it, so I think I'll just leave it at that. So guys, that is my list of my most favorite movies of 2025. Tell me now, what is your top 10 list of movies from this year? What movies do you have on your list that I didn't even have on mine at all? Jump down into the comment section below and make some recommendations for some movies I may have missed. Heck, and while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. That's all I've got for you today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, keep gaming and keep praying.